All right, I was going to do this video at home, but since I ended up getting trapped in a parent pickup line at a school that I'm not even waiting to pick up a kid at, I figured I'd try and get this recording done while I wait here. So, I want to talk about skincare layering, whether it matters, and transitional seasonal skincare. I'm going to try and keep this video pretty short, but we know I like to ramble, so here it goes. So I think we all know that for the most part, the traditional layering system is, of course, always cleansing first, and then basically going thinnest to thickest in product texture or viscosity. So you do your toners, your sprays, your hydrosols, you do your watery serums or your essences, then you do your lotion, your moisturizer, and then if you're going to do an oil or a balm, that goes on top. For the most part, I think that's the traditional way that skincare layering is recommended. But wonder if that's not the only option. So I've been playing around on and off for at least probably a year now with different types of layering. These are things that I've learned from people such as the woman who created the brand of skincare called Infiore. She has some blog posts about this that I'll link down below. May Lindstrom of May Lindstrom Skin, and there are other people as well who, sorry, we're starting to move, who talk about layering in different ways. So some of the alternative options are cleansing your skin, putting on your toner or serum, then putting oil on, and then putting moisturizer on. So basically switching the order of putting on moisturizer and oil to putting oil on first and then moisturizer. And then the other one, and this is the one that I've played with the most, is cleansing, then immediately putting oil on the skin, and then using a toner or hydrosol spray, and then sealing that off with moisturizer at the end. So, putting oil right on your skin after cleansing, I don't know if that makes sense if you're going to apply a very thin consistency watery serum. For me, it probably makes the most sense to always put a serum, if you're using one, down first on clean skin and then go in with whatever hydrating, moisturizing options you're using. But I don't typically use serums besides the Marie Veronique Barrier Restore, which I'm finished with. So that hasn't, and that one I think you can play around with the order because it is thicker. It's more like a gel cream. So I don't really have experience with playing around with this order of putting your serums down. So I'm going to say typically you probably want to put those down first. But I have played a lot with cleansing my skin, then directly putting oil onto my face, then going in with, if I'm using a mist or a hydrosol or even just Avène water, and then putting my cream on top. And I really, really like this application technique more than putting oil on as the last step. I think the oil absorbs better and hydrates my skin, moisturizes my skin more, and then I still feel like my cream or lotion absorbs in at the end. So I like the result and finished product better in the sense that when I put oil on my skin as my last step, it sort of creates a barrier, but I don't find that it absorbs. And if I put it on first, I feel like it absorbs much better into my skin. And then the lotion or whatever else I'm using still absorbs. So that way, I think I'm getting the most absorption of product. And the end result is skin that is supple and moisturized and has less of that film of like putting oil on as the last step, which ends up sort of getting wiped off if I'm going to lay down to sleep and things like that. So the point here is just there are certain things that have to happen in order. Like you always need to cleanse your skin before you do anything else, except maybe masks. Some people put their masks on dirty skin, although that doesn't really make sense to me. I also almost never use masks. But other than cleansing really being your first step, I think you can really play around with and experiment with how you layer your skincare. I don't think there's one perfect right answer, and I do think it's worth experimenting depending on the products you're using to see which application method gives you the best finish and the best feel and the best absorption, because ultimately if a product's not getting absorbed, what's the purpose of it? Unless you're using like a Vaseline that's sole purpose is to just be this like barrier layer, but I typically don't do anything like that. All of my products, the few products I use, have a purpose, have an intent, and I want them to be absorbed and do their work in the skin. So those are my thoughts on skincare layering. Again, I will link some articles, at least one below, that gives you a little bit more of an explanation from some skincare formulators on why they apply products in the way they do. So now let's talk about skincare, transitional skincare, seasonal skincare. All right, I'm out of that line and pulled over to get a snack and finish this video. So, my thoughts on seasonal skincare are basically that it might matter. And that is different than I used to think. So basically what I was saying is, I think when I was living in Southern California and the weather didn't change that much, I didn't really change my routine throughout the year because I didn't need to. I wasn't exposed to enough AC, heat, or just elemental stress outside to make my skin really react or change too much to the changing weather. But now that I live in the Pacific Northwest, it's a huge factor, and I'm prepping because last winter was so difficult for me. I think, it was my first winter up here. I had just had a baby. So those factors, of course, affect your skin, but also I was just exposed to so much drying indoor heat and then cold, wet weather outside. And it's weird because even though it's wet up here, the cold factor and just the general weather of winter is still very drying and challenging for my skin, which I thought it would be easier to tolerate because it's kind of humid in a sense, but I think the temperature affects it a lot. So I am starting to prep and plan for my seasonal skincare change, and that is going to include no foaming cleansers. So I've been playing around with some gel cleansers and stuff, most of which have been disappointing anyway, but really kind of just stopping those altogether. So sticking with cream, oil, and super gentle cleansers. So for now it's the Marie Veronique, and I have a new bottle of Avène, the reformulation, which I'm really liking so far, of their Tolérance Extrême cleansing lotion. So those are my two cleansers as of now. And then I'm going in with my skin layering technique, making sure that I'm applying oil to my skin straight after I wash it. If I'm using toner, which right now I'm just sometimes using the Avène water, I'll spray that after the oil and maybe massage a little bit more to make sure the oil's nicely absorbed into my skin. And then I'm going in with a lotion. I've been using the Vanicream for almost 2 months now, and I've been loving it, but I think it's going to be too light for the winter. So I have a new product that I'm going to start testing out that's a much thicker cream. It's by Dr. Rogers, and it has niacinamide, but I've been using the Ilia product with niacinamide without any issues for a while. So I'm going to test that out. And if that doesn't work because it's because of the niacinamide, I'm going to look for another really rich moisturizer, which might be going back to the La Roche-Posay Balm or looking at one of the Avène Cica. I think the Cicatricate. It's like a very, very thick cream. Something like that for when I get to that point in winter, because last year was so tough. My skin just felt raw and dry and red and uncomfortable. What saved me last winter was going to the Marie Veronique Barrier Restore Serum and Barrier Lipid Complex Oil. I'm out of those, and I'm not going to buy them, if at all, until Black Friday. I'm not sure yet. So I'm really trying to see if a different combo like this oil and then lotion and moving to a richer cream and making sure I'm really, really careful and gentle with my cleansing is enough, and I don't need to invest in those products again because they are just really so pricey. So that's my goal for now. That's my plan for transitioning. And in addition to that, consuming water, other hydrating beverages and foods, and then limiting the amount of heat you're using in the shower. So, taking less long of showers, taking showers that are a little bit cooler temperature, using still tepid water to wash your face when you wash it at the sink and don't wash it in the shower, and then also using a humidifier. So that really helped me last winter, but it still wasn't enough. And I did need to change my products to things that were more nourishing. So that's sort of my plan with transitioning to fall winter skincare. And my thoughts on skincare layering. I thought those ideas kind of go together and are things to think about as we do transition into a new season. Check in with your skin, see how it's doing, and if there are little tweaks, changes, experimentations you can do to help it find its homeostasis through this, what can be a challenging period for people with rosacea and hypersensitive skin with the dryness and the wind and the cold coming in. I hope that helps. Comment below if you have any go-to tips as the weather changes and turns colder, but we also are dealing with all the indoor heating. Let us know what works for you. Thanks so much for watching and stay tuned. Bye for now.